People with higher IQs forget more. This isn't an insult or a personal failing. It is biology. We see this paradox at the highest levels of academia. Nobel laureates and high-level researchers often demonstrate elite cognitive processing while struggling with the simplest recall tasks, like where they left their keys or the name of a person they just met. Data from the University of Toronto shows that the top 10% of IQ scores are 47% more likely to report chronic failures in recalling names and dates, even as they outperform every other group in abstract reasoning and logic. This suggests our basic understanding of brain power is flawed. A more powerful engine doesn't necessarily mean a more organized filing system. How does that happen? If someone can master organic chemistry in a weekend, how can they fail to remember a 3-digit date? It starts with the fluency illusion. High IQ individuals make conceptual leaps so quickly that they experience a false sense of mastery. Because they understand a concept instantly, the brain signals that the information is already learned. This speed is a biological trap. It allows the mind to skip the repetitive, high-effort encoding steps that the brain requires to actually anchor a memory for the long term. In a highly intelligent brain, the prefrontal cortex is exceptionally active and densely interconnected. Here, signals travel faster and patterns emerge quickly. Normally, memory consolidation requires a quiet handoff. Information moves cleanly from the hippocampus to the prefrontal cortex. But in dense neural architectures, this handoff is drowned out by cognitive crosstalk. The brain is so busy drawing connections that it creates constant associative noise. That activity prevents the quiet encoding required for simple facts. The brain is simply too loud to hear the specific detail it tries to save. High intelligence effectively removes the cognitive friction needed to permanently store simple information. This leads to proactive interference. This occurs when your existing store of knowledge actively competes with new memories during the retrieval process. Imagine a filing cabinet. An average brain holds 200 files. A high IQ individual might have 20,000. When they learn a new name, it is filed correctly, but looks identical to 47 other names already there. The memory isn't lost, it's just crowded. When you try to recall it later, your brain pulls those 47 similar files first. You know the information is there, but you can't isolate it from the surrounding noise of your own knowledge. Memory failure in this context is the byproduct of an hyperactive associative network. To fix this, you have to bypass your own speed. You must manually create the friction that your brain naturally skips. Protocol 1 is isolation encoding. When you need to remember a specific fact, write it in a blank page with zero surrounding context. This forces the brain to create a standalone file instead of immediately trying to link it to 1,000 other concepts. Protocol 2 is sensory tagging. Attach a physical observation to the fact, like a specific scent or a unique sound. This creates a retrieval hook that exists outside the crowded filing system of your conceptual memory. Protocol 3 is pre-interference retrieval. You must recall the fact within 10 to 20 minutes. This establishes a retrieval pathway before the brain's associative network has time to bury the new file under related memories. These protocols address the mechanical reality of how a fast brain processes data. They prioritize retrieval over comprehension. For many high IQ people, these steps feel slow and reductive. They feel unnecessary because the initial understanding of the material was so effortless. But that resistance is exactly why the problem persists. Relying on smart processing is what causes the retrieval failure in the first place. You have to decide if you are willing to slow down long enough to make your memory as capable as your intellect. Forgetting the small things is a trade-off. The more information your brain connects, the more noise it creates when you try to find a single isolated fact.